Episode 144, Gary. Time flies when you're having fun. You're clinching playoff berths and you're pitching 9 innings. What the hell happened today? We're going to get into it, right? Yankees unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. I'm liking this intro so far. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow us on all of our social media. Link is in the description below. Just a quick word here. If you haven't already, check us out on all podcast platforms. If you haven't already, sign up for our 24/7 Yankees Unloaded Yankees chat, which is our Discord. We have now over 70 people, so that's awesome. I think it's 74 now. So members just keep piling in. And before I send over to Gary, I just wanted to let you guys know, we saw the comments. We're very well aware of it. We're pissed.
Okay? We are mad. Actually mad.
We're trying to keep our composure because the postseason's coming up. We're trying to show, these players like Anthony Volpe, like, hey, stay composed because, guys, we got demonetized and your memberships were paused. We did not pause them. So I felt heartbroken after we put up this video after recording it at 3 a.m., whatever it was yesterday. And I see a comment. I'm going to bed, believe it or not, at like 4:30. And I see a comment, hey, what was this email about me getting my channel or the membership paused? I was like, oh no. I already knew right away.
We knew it was AdSense, which is a company
that
runs the ads. And of course, when they run an ad, they have to pay us. Yep. Well, that we needed to put certain information in. And now that we've done that, it's going to take a couple days for that to be situated. It's essentially out of our hands. It's in YouTube's hands now, AdSense. So that's the reason for it. We didn't want you guys to freak out about it. We didn't cancel our membership program. It's just on hold for now.
Which means this should be a very rare ad-free episode. So enjoy, I guess. But Gary, looking at this game, there are some things that we definitely need to talk about. Soto coming off the bench, looking like his kneecap was gone yesterday. Coming off the bench, having a very, very key double. Volpe just smacking it the other way today. Two big hits. The extra innings, you might not realize this, guys. Actually, you probably do because the Yankees feel like they keep winning in extra innings, which is a good sign. They're 8-8. A lot of teams in the league are negative. Then you have the Cleveland Guardians that are like 10-3. So yikes. And the Padres, by the way, great extra inning team and a great one-run team. So are the Guardians. So interesting stuff there. But we have to talk about Gerrit Cole because, Gary, I'm going to tell you right now, I don't care what you think about Gerrit Cole, whether you think he's an ace, whether you think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, whether you're out on him, I don't give a rip. No one, including the optimists, the biggest optimists, could have predicted him to go 9 innings today, mainly because, 1, Aaron Boone is the manager. 2, pitch count. He's pitching in 2024. This isn't 1984.
Right.
And 3, have they really been using the bullpen that much? I definitely thought he was going to come out of this game, but he kept his pitch count pretty low, Gary. He was very efficient today. And I'm sure Gerrit Cole wants to strike out everybody. He wants to take no prisoners. He just wants to end you. And the reality of it is this, okay? And I'm bringing it up here. He had 7 strikeouts, and he didn't even throw 100 pitches. What are we talking about? He didn't even get to 100 pitches and gave him 9 innings of length. And guess what? Believe it or not, that was enough to get a win in an extra inning game. I give the Yankees a lot of credit because this offense was stagnant all day. And I was like, is Gerrit Cole really about to lose this game pitching 9 innings? No, because, okay, Luke Weaver gives up a hit. Fine, gives up a run. Wasn't earned, but, gives up a run. What I saw out of this team was they rallied for Cole in extra innings. And this has been what this extra innings, just last ditch effort out of this offense. This is what it's been. So there's a lot to like, Gary. And I'll be honest with you. If Gerrit Cole pitches like this, I feel really good about a World Series. I really do.
Yeah, and I know what people are thinking. This is against the Oakland Athletics, who are now going to Sacramento, who are going to be heading their way to Las Vegas. We know how bad they are. We understand. But remember, it's still Major League Baseball. And Gerrit Cole's been really good against the rest of baseball. He's objectively awful against Devers and Boston. And that's what we got in his last start. So objectively, we got a bad pitcher. It's unfortunate, but it's what we got. But I told you after that start, it's about who he is most often. What does he look like against the rest of the contenders? And those numbers are impressive. So my expectation is in his next start, he's not going to be thinking of Devers. He's not going to be thinking of the matchup with the Boston Red Sox and what to do with those lefty-righty matchups. None of it. He's going to return to the Gerrit Cole we all know and love, and we're just going to forget about it. I understand some people they don't forget after one or two starts, but I promise you guys, after game 1 of the ALDS and Gerrit Cole shoves, after a game 5 where he shoves again, nobody's going to be thinking about that start against the Boston Red Sox where he put up the number 4 because essentially he looked weak in that situation. We completely understand it. But again, you are who you most often are, not who you are on one start. So Gerrit Cole's going to be perfectly fine. His pitches were sharp. That changeup was immaculate today. Incredible pitch. And it's very clear when you face a team, regardless of their talent, once you find a pitch that you can locate and you've got the type of depth and movement on a pitch, you need to go after that pitch over and over again. It's exactly what Nestor Cortez has done with his changeup and his cutter in off the plate. Gerrit Cole was special today. It's exactly what we want. You're talking about a late September game where a starting pitcher can go 9 innings and we hand the ball off in extra innings to Weaver, who's now our closer. So we expect to win those games. We did exactly that.
Absolutely. Very fun game today because it didn't feel fun at times. Obviously, you want more runs from the third best offense or second best offense in the league. But I'm kind of over scoring runs. And I understand when I say that. I just want wins. So it's a good game if the Yankees come back and win. It's a good game if they go to extras and put a crooked number up on the board. That's how I look at it, Gary. And that's what we got. You know what else we got? Juan Soto coming off the bench after, like I said, smacking his kneecap in yesterday. Not in the lineup, was at late scratch. You're thinking, oh no, maybe it's precautionary. Maybe he's out for a long time. Who knows? He comes out and he hits a ball 110 miles an hour. The second top exit velocity of the day, only behind Seth Brown's 110.8. So
you have to assume he's in decent shape there, right?
Yes.
This is a player who, at the very least, could he be banged up? Yes. But would Aaron Boone, with a 4-game lead in the division, throw Juan Soto on the field if he was actually hurt and not just day to day? No. So the fact that we saw Juan Soto in a big moment today, objectively, is a good thing. I think we have nothing to worry about. That's just my opinion. That could be wrong. But reading the tea leaves, I don't think Yankees fans should be worried at all.
No, I don't either. He wouldn't have come in a pinch hit spot like that. But I also want to give Aaron Boone a lot of credit here because this is the opposite of what we were talking about. This is what we were hoping for. You're trying to win these games. You're not settled like, oh, yeah, we clinched, whatever. The way Aaron Boone managed today told me that he is really trying his damnedest to win the AL East. It's not, I'm okay with this. I'm going to worry about, players like health first. And look, I don't want to demonize player safety and keeping them healthy before, the big dance. But if you don't play going into the big dance and you take a lot of time off, you're going to get rusty. You're going to get, stiff. It's just, you're not going to be the same player. These guys are playing loose. Not everybody is hitting extremely well. Stanton's struggling. Wells is hitting 146 in September. Like, I understand that.
Jazz Chisholm's struggling.
Yes, but I want these guys playing every day because they can get out of that. Also, another thing, maybe not everybody, because you probably can't say this about Verdugo and Volpe, But for the most part, when you keep playing, even when you're struggling, eventually you turn it around. And
at some point,
I look at it like Austin Wells is getting all of his bad shit out of the way right now. Because when he comes into the postseason, I'm telling you, 28 is going to be trotting the bases, home run trotting, big moments I'm expecting. I think he's going to be huge in whatever series you talk about, an Astro series or a Guardian series to go to the World Series. I really believe that we're going to be looking at Austin Wells like this guy was a big reason why we got to that point, which is why I'm not going too much in on him. Plus, he hit over 300 in August. He was great. He hit 324. So I'm not going to sit here and act like Austin Wells is an issue. But I guess really back to my point. Aaron Boone was willing to put Juan Soto out there, who looked like he suffered a decently painful injury like yesterday. I mean, there's no way that felt good. And he still put him out there in a pinch hit spot, showing you he's not just like, yeah, this is a game. This is against the A's. We've already clinched the playoffs. He is going for the throat. You don't put in Juan Soto there if you're not going for the throat. And this wasn't the only thing that he did. You had pinch runner Oswaldo Cabrera. You had a pinch runner in Jason Dominguez. He emptied out the bench, really. I give him a lot of credit today. I think between what he did for the offensive side, and then you look at him keeping Cole in for 9 innings. I'm glad he didn't push it for 10. That just would have been ridiculous. And trust me, if Cole went 10 innings, I don't think he gives up another run. I really don't. But
yeah, they also did maintain that 4-game lead. So
yeah,
as you said, they could be complacent, right?
Yeah.
It is important. And Aaron Boone of the past, we don't want to act like it's just all sunshine and rainbows at this point, just because this one thing happened.
Exactly.
But we have to be happy that the Yankees didn't just come into this game, say Juan Soto slid into the right field wall. He may be slightly banged up. Let's give him the full day off. We're not going to pinch hit him. We want to make sure he's healthy in October. The Yankees don't get that opportunity in the 10th inning with Juan Soto up at the plate. Maybe they lose this game, right? You're clearly jeopardizing the win.
Absolutely.
By leaving Juan Soto on the bench. Now, having said that, you may lose this game. Weaver may not have the opportunity that he has. And you're talking about now a 3.5-game lead. Doesn't sound big, but it is. Baltimore beat the brakes off of Detroit today. And you're talking about 3.5-game lead to a Baltimore series that we'll likely be at. And you're talking about making this closer than it needs to be. That half game is important. The Yankees treated it like it was important. And we're believing that is good karma. And maybe, just maybe, you don't always have to prioritize health over today's game. We understand there's a happy median that needs to be created, that needs to be drawn in the sand. We get that. But there is a huge disparity between prioritizing health and shortcutting the process and just maximizing health and not giving a rip about today. So bravo to Aaron Boone. And he made some mistakes today. We're going to talk about some of those mistakes, but that wasn't one of them.
No. And I agree with you there. Volpe. We've been in on Volpe a lot. We've bad-mouthed him, according to some comments. We've been unfair, according to some comments.
Oh, is that what people called that? Bad-mouthing?
Some people. The majority of our listeners, I think, really listen. Like, what listeners are supposed to do when you're listening. Yeah. Anyway, what I've seen in the comment section. Yeah. What I've seen in the comment section though, for the majority of our listeners, and I saw a great comment, made me feel really good inside. They're like, actually, and Gary, it's not an ego thing. I just normally, I don't see I see you guys or Gary. I never see people call out my name, which is totally fine. But when it happens, I want to give praise, right? So I gotta find it. But this is a cool comment because I do try to put in that work so you guys have those stats. And I love when we'll have somebody comment and they'll be like, anyone can look this up. All right, well, why haven't you? Because clearly the way you're talking, you have not looked up the stats. You do not know the stats.
That's actually why we created this show. We felt like there weren't enough podcasts that do the research. Sometimes you're not going to know something. Sometimes you're going to be inaccurate, and that's okay. But to simply just be too lazy to look up the numbers. So when you have people telling us, oh, you guys are picking on a player like Anthony Volpe. Well, today we're spending time. We're going to talk about his 3-for-4 performance. He was spectacular today. He was great on defense. He was great at the plate. He went the other way, right? These are all things that we were hoping to expect from a player like Anthony Volpe, who was a top player in our prospect list. So you're talking about a podcast now, essentially, that prioritizes numbers rather than our feelings on these certain players. To be honest with you, Jake, we talk off air about liking players, disliking players. I don't like that guy. I don't like the vibe he gives. Well, I'll tell you right now, our liking of a player, our fondness of a baseball player will never have an impact on how we cover him on the show. We're just not. I, frankly, as much as I like Anthony Volpe off the field, I really don't give a rip about that. What I care about are his long-term numbers, and we simply reveal those long-term numbers, and we try to figure out, based on our opinion, what those numbers mean. So that's what we do. Today, Anthony Volpe was objectively a winning baseball player. It had to happen, and we are now talking about a start on September 21st. Well, actually September 20th, since we're recording this at 3:30 in the morning. But you're talking about a big-time game from our top prospect from 2 years ago. That matters. It's in large part why we won today. It set the tone and set the table for better players like Juan Soto to step up and do their job, and they did that.
Love how you said that. And shout out to Zero Nameless Void Zero. Phenomenal show. Best one yet. All that information Jake put together was fantastic. I get it a lot on the Rams channel because it's literally the Jake Ellenbogen channel. But come on, you guys already knew Gary. I'm just trying to make a name for myself next to Gary. I'm lucky to be with Gary on this show. So it's really cool to see that, and I appreciate it. And it's not that other people haven't put that out there. I've seen my name out there. But I don't know, that comment, I saw that, and I was like, that made my day. Straight up.
You might get another compliment again today. Because again, remember, I'm talking through a Steve Jobs, what is it? Tim
Cook.
Tim Cook. I'm talking through some Tim Cook Apple headsets right now. So you might get some more compliments on that audio. Who
talking
knows?
Through a tin can.
I am talking through a tin can, a Sprite can tonight.
You know what?
Yeah.
You're not even talking through a Sprite can. You're talking through that like low budget Sprite imitation soda that you would get at like a grocery store.
Yeah, it is interesting that somebody, because there are like frequent, because I read all the comments. We read all the comments. I know shows, when we start to get 100, 200 comments, you probably read the top ones, especially the ones that are complimenting the show, but then they don't really read the rest of them, right? Some that may be critical of a certain aspect of the show, or some maybe they're trying to make a specific point. We read all those comments. Yeah. And it's crazy. Some people watch our show every day and they'll be like, why does Gary sound like he's from a tin can? And I'll recognize the names. I'm sitting there thinking, don't you see I don't have my microphone? Like my microphone, it's right here and it doesn't work. So yeah.
You know what would be even funnier is if you held it up for dramatic effect, but it sounded like a tin can. They just be
that
like,
would make matters worse. No,
like,
people would be like, Gary's
dumb.
mic's not working. No, they'd be like, he doesn't know how to plug that thing in. He's an idiot. And you're right. I could be an idiot, but it's not over the microphone. So yeah, but
it's not your fault.
Back to what we were talking about with Anthony Volpe.
Yeah,
this is exactly, I can't say the type of player you're hoping for, but his game needs to be balls in play, not worried about hitting the ball in the seats, finding holes. Exactly what you saw out of Alex Verdugo the first month of the season, where you say, okay, this guy may not take a walk, but he's seeing pitches. He'll spray the ball the other way if he has to. He can pull the baseball. If you go breaking ball and you miss location, he can pull the ball in the gap. Fantastic. But his game isn't launch angle and what's his bat path. And all those things are important to a hitter, but power and the power game in general is not Anthony Volpe's forte. He doesn't have crazy power. Don't allow the 2023 season to convince you that he hit 20 home runs while hitting 200, that he is a power hitter. Anthony Volpe is not that. The player you saw today, the style in which he played today's game is Anthony Volpe. If it works out, this is how it looks. So I hope Anthony Volpe can understand that. I do. And all I can do is cross my fingers and pray that in October, he's not trying to get the big hit in the gap or trying to get the big hit in the porch in right field. No, I need you to be today's player. Spray a single, run the bases hard. You're fast, one of the fastest players on this team, analytically, eye test, all that. And then go field your position at shortstop, to which you are a good shortstop, probably not as good as people think. That is enough for this team.
I agree. And look, I watched those Anthony Volpe hits today. Other way, sprayed out to right field. No one's catching those, Gary.
Nope.
There's no. How many sliding, diving grabs have we seen the last month? It feels like any time the Yankees hit something that should land, it's a sliding grab, it's a diving grab. Oh, it's near the wall. This guy's going to play it off like he's robbing a home run when it's not even close. You've seen that a lot. Anthony Volpe had 2 hits that were not the hardest hit balls today, but they were hit in perfect spots. And this goes back to, Aaron Judge can hit a ground ball, but he hits it 112 miles an hour. I might take your hand off with it, right? That's not
those balls go through.
That is not an easy ball to field. Now, occasionally you'll get a nice play from Devers. Occasionally you'll get a nice play from a Gold Glove level, shortstop, second baseman, whatever. But for the most part, if Aaron Judge hits a ball 112 miles an hour on the ground, it's going through. Anthony Volpe doesn't hit the ball that hard, so it's not going through. It's most likely not going through at all. And so both of those hits being liners, soft liners, into the outfield, Gary, I know he's not hitting extra bases, and that sucks, but these were postseason hits, Gary. I like that. If Anthony Volpe does this is a roll moving forward. This is a roll. You can win postseason games with this. So I like that. Another thing you can win postseason games with. Holy hell, Dreamweaver is at it again.
Is this our closer? Is it? Are we done?
How is this a debate? I still see it on Twitter. Gary, who is debate? This guy has taken the closer role, and I don't know if it's a confidence thing. I don't know. He could just be really good in the 9th inning. He might need that extra adrenaline. I don't know, but he's unconscious, Gary. Unconscious. In this, so understand, he took over as the closer unofficially against Chicago. And this was the 6th of September, right? So 1 inning. Yeah, okay, he walks guys. I don't really give a rip. Your job is to not give up runs. That's your job.
True.
He has not given up a run as the closer. Today, he had a run given up. It was not an earned run, right? So he has not given up a run as a closer. Keep this in mind, though. You have 1 inning pitched, 1 inning pitched, 1 2/3 inning pitched. That puts you at 3 2/3, 5 2/3, and then you have 6 1/3, 7 1/3, and then today he pitched 1 inning, so 8 1/3 since he became the closer.
Mm-hmm.
So 8 1/3 innings pitched, and he's got 4, 7, 12, 16, 19 strikeouts. 19 strikeouts in 7 and I think it's 8 1/3 is what I said. That's
so you believe
crazy.
That this change in his role has made him a better pitcher? Is that what you're claiming?
I'm claiming that this guy is more confident than I've ever seen him. And we knew he was a good pitcher. We knew he had good stuff. He had his moments where he'd come in maybe a little bit early, 6th inning, get roughed up a little bit. He wasn't a guy that could come in a game where you're dominating, or better yet, come in a game where the game's over and he's playing mop-up role, right?
Right.
He's going to get clapped. And that's what happened. He gave up 5 runs in the Texas game back on August 10th. That was a 9-4 loss. He gave up 5 runs He only pitched a third of an inning. That doesn't mean he didn't pitch other batters. He only got a third of the inning out. So then you look at Texas, and I don't think he wants to see Texas ever again. This is before he became the starter. The last outing before he became the closer. He pitches the inning, gives up 2 hits, 2 earned runs, a home run against Texas. That's an 8-4 ball game. What do you take away from that? Both games were out of reach. Both games were over, and he came in, played mop up, and it didn't go well. And you go back and you look, the 9-7 game against Boston, he gives up 3 runs back on July 26th. He's had some of those innings. But when you go back and you look, April, 3.44 ERA. May, 2.25, right? June, 2.70. July, 3.60. August, 3.97. September, magically, it's 2.16, hasn't been calculated for today's game. That's why I always have to do this calculation on the fly.
So closer to 2.
Under 2, because you're taking away the Texas game where he gave up runs. So basically 0. He has a 0 ERA since he became the closer. So there is no argument. There is no, let's get creative. We talked about that yesterday. No. And honestly, I don't think Boone is getting creative. I think he knows this is not a debate. This is your closer. And you should feel hyped because he's 31 years old. You didn't find a 39-year-old guy that you threw in there. You might have him for a little bit. So any Yankee fan out there that isn't a huge fan of Luke Weaver, then you haven't watched September baseball.
Can I tell a story?
Well,
so
Gary, story time?
I want to tell a story of Mariano Rivera.
Yeah.
Now, Weaver is not the great Mariano Rivera, but we need to tell the story of what happened for the Yankees to find this closer in terms of number 42. Now, Mariano Rivera was a starter. Unless people have forgotten, this is a starter for the New York Yankees. He was not good. Okay. Now, later on, Mo goes into the bullpen and he's trying to figure out, how do I find my fastball? He's trying to locate his 4-seam fastball. That was the entire intent of his bullpen. He throws a pitch to Jorge Posada, and Jorge says, "What was that?" This is exactly the conversation. They have talked about it. This has been in interviews. What was that pitch I just saw right there? I have no idea. Throw it again. Throws the same pitch again. Throws the same pitch again. And all of a sudden, Jorge Posada says, "I think we found something." They go talk to management, and did they throw, when they threw Mariano Rivera in the closer's role or in the bullpen, once he discovered, oh wow, we have something special here, did the Yankees throw him back into another role? Did they suddenly say, oh look, we found somebody that's comfortable in the 9th inning? Did they decide to throw Mariano Rivera back in the rotation or back in the 6th or 7th inning? Did they do that? They didn't, did they?
No.
When you find somebody in the most important inning of the game that is comfortable, you don't mess with it. You just don't. The Yankees very well could have said, Mariano Rivera is such a good pitcher. Why don't we just bring him in to open a game and pitch him 3 innings in a game 7? Why don't we just do that? The Yankees never tried it. Why? Because they knew this pitcher may be who he is because of the timing of when he's pitching. Mariano Rivera was great in the 9th inning. You leave it alone, right? Mariano Rivera and Weaver are obviously 2 different caliber pitchers, but clearly the numbers indicate Weaver is on another level in the 9th inning. Regardless of why, if it's timing, he just found his stuff in September, you can all try and figure out what the reasoning is, but you cannot ignore the numbers. This is a pitcher in the 9th inning that is not giving up runs. And most importantly, Jake, you alluded to it, we are winning. If a guy comes in the 9th inning and it ends in Yankees wins, leave it alone. Because I watched Clay Holmes pitch for 2 or 3 months, and the Yankees were walking off the field losing. Aroldis Chapman gets in October baseball. I was watching the Yankees walk off the field as losers, and that's unfortunate. But the reality is, if Aaron Boone does anything, it should be to leave this alone. You have found something, and then go figure out the rest of the game.
I agree. And when it comes to, like, say, Clay Holmes, you have him on your roster, and I get that, but you have your guy. You don't need to pay Holmes this offseason. If that was ever even.
I wasn't paying Holmes if Weaver literally could quit baseball this offseason, and I still wouldn't bring Holmes back.
I don't blame
that's
you.
the way I feel about this player. I don't want to see Clay Holmes back in New York. I'm perfectly okay with other people holding a different opinion. They can make that argument. Okay, he still's got really good stuff. You can work with it. You can fix it. Maybe you guys feel that way. I just don't want to see it. I want to see something else. I'm just happy and thankful that the Yankees have found something in Weaver, at least in the short term. I know they didn't find Mariano Rivera. I'm not saying I expect Weaver to be our closer 6 years from now or even 3. But as of today, what he can do in September and in the short term here in October, Weaver is the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got a four-seamer, a changeup, a cutter, and a knuckle curve. He uses the knuckle curve 1.3% of the time, cutter 22.6% of the time, changeup 27.9%, and four-seamer 48.2%, which we love. I think really what it comes down to is they have also waved the white flag on their approach. We've talked about it. They like pitching to contact, right? Well, they have a closer in Weaver that fits their defense. He fits their defense. He throws 98.
You mean misses bats? Great.
Exactly. So very similar to Mariano Rivera starting off, because I don't think you mentioned it. You might have, and I might have glossed over it. Mariano Rivera starts off as a setup man after being a starter to John Wetland. Well, Luke Weaver was in the 8th inning role. He's in the 7th inning role. He kept going back and forth. Rivera stayed in the 8th inning role. So he was what he was. Dominant setup man, bring in John Wetland. And they knew John Wetland is he's like Clay Holmes. Clay Holmes is here. He's going to be gone, right? John Wetland was not going to be there moving forward. So they're like, Mariano Rivera, you're that guy. Eventually they go out and they get Tom Gordon as a setup man. They had guys like Scott Proctor. They had some guys that can be setup. And it's exactly that. Am I saying Luke Weaver is their closer moving forward? He's 31, so it's not old, but it's not young. And he's probably going to have to get paid soon, I would imagine. So, I mean, I'll look that up real quick, and then we'll wrap up the show, if that's cool.
Well, I mean, he's 31 years old. I can just kind of figure it out for you guys. A 31-year-old, you have to imagine relievers can be good. What do they have, 3 years of control?
Dude, no. They have a club option. So he costs $2 million this year. He's going to cost $2.5 million next year.
Okay, so he's going to cost us what it cost the Dodgers to sign Ohtani.
Yeah, well, Perfect. Come on now. It's let's not go there. This is great value. Great value. And I'm not talking about fantastic. The Walmart brand. I mean, this is actually great value. No, nothing against Walmart. I'm sure some great value stuff is good. My point being, the most important thing is that they have Luke Weaver, and they are paying him this year and next year, and he is on the rise. He is a Yankee. He's not going anywhere. They're paying him less money than they're paying Clay Holmes this year.
They're paying Clay Holmes $6 million. So that's the math of it. Triple. You are paying Clay Holmes triple of what Weaver makes today. So if you want to talk about when Hal Steinbrenner has a conversation of this team, regardless of this Juan Soto extension that very likely is on its way, or at least should be, right? We're not going to speak for them and what they're going to do with their business ventures. But when you talk about saving money, a really good way to save money is letting a player like Clay Holmes walk for $6 million or something that might even be north of that this offseason. And you have someone making $2.5 million that is better. So this is how the Yankees can make decisions like this. And then they can turn around and spend money, right? Money can now go outbound on players that you actually want to see join this team. And conversations, the Corbin Burns, right? Like a lot of these guys that you say can be additions to this team. Rizzo's off the team if you don't take that option, right? Stroman could be off the team. very similar conversation. So gotta love that contract situation. I'm not going to tell you guys that I love the idea of Hal Steinbrenner saving money. I frankly never cared about that. But I do know Hal Steinbrenner runs with Brian Cashman on a strict payroll. He wants a cap on that thing, and it is roughly $300 million. So if we know that, and they're getting good value, especially this offseason, that's a good thing because it means that the Yankees can get more aggressive elsewhere, and it means not a completely dead winter meetings.
I like that. I will say this. Luke Weaver, people might not realize this, was DFA'd by the Mariners in 2023. Very, very quiet move. Yankees claim him in September of last year. He pitches 3 games for them. They signed him in January to this 1-year deal with a club option, no buyout. He's locked in. Great deal. And furthermore, he pitched 81 1/3 innings, so he's probably never, to be fair, he's probably never going to hit that, his incentive bonus. But he does have incentive bonuses for 2025, which I think are fair if he does hit them. It's asking a lot, though. Goes up to $3 million with 100 innings pitched, $4 million with 120, $5 million with 140, and $6 million with 160. Now, you might say, why the hell is it that high? Luke Weaver was originally a starter. He was actually a first-round pick by the St. Louis Cardinals years ago, because, I mean, that's why he's 31.
They're protecting against the Yankees finding out that he can start again. If all of a sudden he's starting again, right, and we saw the exact same thing happen with the Royals, blanking out on his name, but what is his name again?
Are you talking
Seth Lugo? There you go.
Oh, Lugo.
Seth Lugo joined the Royals.
Yes.
The only reason, ladies and gentlemen, that his contract is what it is because most of Major League Baseball balked at the idea of him being a starter. He takes a discount, takes a 2-year deal to go pitch for the Kansas City Royals. They promised him he could be a starter. He's been completely dominant. One of the best pitchers in the league, makes an all-star game, right? So this is the situation with Weaver. He's cut by the Mariners. He gets to the Yankees. All of those contractual contingencies where you're saying, okay, if he throws 120 innings, you make X amount of dollars. He's not going to pitch 120 innings as the closer for the Yankees. Yankees know this. So the Yankees know when we put all these things in your contract, our plans with you at best are 7 innings. That's 70 innings of work, right?
Yeah.
You're going to be the closer for the Yankees. We don't have to worry about that $5 million kicker, that $6 million kicker. All that stuff is nonsense. You could literally be Mariano Rivera and you will not reach those numbers. So the Yankees essentially just get off scot-free, to which we have to be an objective podcast that's not just being idiots. We have to give Brian Cashman credit for some of these moves. Now, we criticize him for many others, but these type of moves, this is kind of his wheelhouse. Take a bunch of guys out of the bargain bin. You don't want him. You cut him, right? Clay Holmes, Pittsburgh doesn't want him. He was pretty good for us these last 2 years, with the exception of this year. Poteet, right? We took a flyer on him. He ended up being really good for us in our starting rotation, not in relief. Starter earlier this season, ends up going down with an injury. The Yankees tend to find output out of the bargain bin. That's just what they do. But it's what they do elsewhere, which is in large part why they don't win World Series championships, because really good players make impact in October, and the Yankees have kind of fallen short in the department of really good players. So trying to give Brian Cashman as much credit as I can. This is objectively one of those good moves.
Yeah, Gary, you know how I'm building a PC? It's like a rich person just getting a budget PC. Like, they're like, oh, I can't wait to play all these games. And they're just like, I'm just going to get a budget PC. It's like, you're rich. Like, get the top of the line graphics card. Get a nice CPU. Get, like, what? Or better yet, I'm not going to get a monitor. I'm going to play it on my original, not the box, but like almost like kind of the oval TV. I'm just going to play it on that. And you're like, that's what the Yankees do. They have a $300 million payroll. They have, I mean, infinite amounts of money. And they're like, you know what? Let's bargain bin hunt. Let's not go out and get Corey Seager. Let's go and get IKF. And I love IKF, but like, that's their mindset. So
the Yankees are the millionaires wearing Kirkland socks. So that is just who they are.
And using Kirkland golf balls.
Kirkland golf balls, Kirkland, right? Kirkland water. They trust me, it's you can always make the argument that no matter how rich you are, why
someone
not
just got
save
offended
some
by
money?
that, but whatever.
I don't really care. No matter how rich you are, you can save some money always. You don't always have to spend top dollar on everything. That is objectively true.
Yeah.
But when you make a certain amount of money and that money might be more than literally any other team, you probably don't need to be doing that quite as much. So I don't know. The Yankees are the multimillionaires that wear well, essentially it's like Adam Sandler. He dresses in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. Some people love that. So, and
yeah,
I don't know.
I think even a better analogy, you don't need a Maserati. You don't need a Lamborghini. You need a car that gets you from point A to point B. And you're just
need a Maserati to win the damn race, don't you?
Yeah, you do, but no street racing. We're talking just strictly getting from point A to point B, right? As a rich person, not even a rich person, just somebody with money. You need to make sure that you have a car that runs. I think that's fair. Or have really good public transportation, or have really good. No, you wouldn't have. You'd have your own driver. But the point I'm making here is you need to get from point A to point B. So sometimes, not saying the Yankees always do this, because I want to give them credit for finding Luke Weaver. I don't want to give him backhanded compliments. But to our point, you're the rich dude that needs a car to drive from point A to point B. We're not even saying you have to get the Maserati or the crazy Mercedes McLaren or whatever. We're just saying you need a car. And you decide, you know what? I'm not going to go to the dealership. Not even going to go to a used car salesman. I'm going to go on Craigslist and shop for cars like I'm an 18-year-old kid who just got his license. And I know because I was one of those kids who got his license. It was like, Craigslist, $1,000, Buick LeSabre 2004. Sign me up. Died in the middle of the road in a week.
And luckily we did get from point A to point B. We are sitting now in the important part of the season, right? Mm-hmm. This isn't Weaver at the deadline saying, oh, hey, I've established myself as the closer. And now we're trying to figure out, do the Yankees still trade for a proven closer? Because Weaver hasn't proven himself long term. He's just proven himself in the short term.
So the Yankees, postseason.
Right. So the Yankees, the deadline comes and goes. If we had the deadline still to go, there would be a question mark. Do the Yankees go trade for one, or do they leave the guy who's currently pitching well in place? Well, we now have no choice. And in my opinion, when you do not have any personnel coming in or out of this organization, the guys that are in the building are in the building. You pitch the hot hand. We were asked that question as a mailbag in our last episode. We answered it. You always rock with the hot hand. This is the hot hand on the mound. So Gerrit Cole, dominant, right? Today, Weaver, yeah, he gave up a run, but he gave up a single with a ghost runner on second. We don't count those. Okay?
Yeah, that doesn't count.
We know they count in the game. Totally understandable, but not going to count as an earned run. Outside of that, you strike out the side. You do exactly what Yes Network has been talking about, which is missing bats. The Yankees do not have nearly enough of it. Weaver, being in the most important part of the game, delivers what we're missing. And you just figure out where else in the game Clay Holmes can make an impact. We just are not sure where that is, but it is not the ninth inning. That is Weaver's job.
Absolutely agreed. I'm going to give field level shout outs, even though you guys aren't technically members right now. You're in Pauseville. I don't know. Thanks a lot, YouTube. Juan Cepeda, Kid from LI, Carlos Marrero, Jeff J, Ed W, Brian Fuchs, Ryan Hoffman, Rich Squires, Joshua Halleckman, Egyptian Magician, Nick Gomes, Jalen Sestero, JT Roberts, Mickey G, and Ronnie. And that is going to do it. We appreciate you guys tuning in. I do have the movie, Gary. Don't you worry. I almost forgot the movie when I said that, but then I remembered it when I said don't worry. So that movie, I'm a horror movie fan. Shocking, I know, because who else has a Michael Myers mask in the background? No, I don't like horror. I just love this really creepy dude behind me. Huge horror fan. If you want a horror movie recommendation, and it's not for the faint of heart, and there is some trigger warning, I guess. I think it's fair to say there's some stuff that might upset people. That's horror. Hate to break it to you. It's not real, so don't cry about it. But if you're a horror movie fan, go and watch Sinister right now. Like after you finish this, watch Sinister. Ethan Hawke is great. I don't have to tell you, I love you, Ethan Hawke, and people know him. Watch Sinister, and I think it's one of the best horror films ever, period. And yeah, put that in the comment section below. And the main reason I said Sinister is because Gerrit Cole was one sinister MFer on the mound. There you go. I didn't curse. But Gerrit Cole was sinister today. He really was. 9 innings. I was not expecting that, Gary. I don't care if it was the A's. I don't care if it was the Dodgers. That would be impressive, though, against Ohtani and all those guys. But I don't care. I saw September baseball, and I saw a guy that's like, I don't want to do this. I want to do this in October. That's what I saw today. And this is why you were paid the money you were paid. This is why they made such a big deal to go and get you. And Gerrit Cole won a Cy Young in a meaningless season. Well, he's not going to win a Cy Young this year, but he has a chance to do something bigger than the Cy Young moving forward. So wouldn't that be fitting? He wins the Cy Young in a meaningless season. Then he doesn't even get to pitch half the season this year, ends up hoisting up the World Series trophy. After tonight, I feel a little bit better about their fortunes moving forward, but we'll see. A lot of baseball left to be played. That's what we got for you guys. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Check us out on all social media, podcast platforms, Discord, all of that. Link is in the description and comment section below. And put in Sinister to let us know that you made it to this point in the video.
Like this video.